Hello, amazing souls. I'm back. Haven't recorded a podcast since my cancer diagnosis at the very end of 20. I want to start by saying that was not intentional. I have tried to sit down a number of times and put into words what exactly I was living, what I was going through, and it just didn't come. And so I had to just wait. That's all I kept being told. So I did that. And now I feel that I am ready to share it all. I chose not to share during it all because I think I wasn't really quite understanding what it was that I was actually living. Because the honest truth was I was literally in survival mode. And I was in survival mode for quite a long time. Let's talk about 2025. It was a big year. It was a big year for me. It was a big year for so many people. How was your 2025? Lots of people are talking about like it was the year of the snake and, there's this big shedding, and it's very, to me, 2025 really felt like the phoenix, burning into the ash. And I'm hoping 2026 is the phoenix rising. But yeah, the past 12 months has been a lot. It's been a lot medically. It's been a lot emotionally. It's been a lot spiritually, physically. And I've actually been in a liminal space. What is a liminal space? Most of us actually experience liminal space, but we don't have the language to express what it is. I'm going to explain what liminal space is because now I've used it a number of times, but it's basically the space in between. So when you no longer feel like who you used to be, the person you are becoming has not formed yet. It's that space where things have fallen apart. So you would know it if you have been through a relationship breakdown, if you've had your own health diagnosis that's transformed your life, if you've lost a job, if you've lost loved ones, like it's that space in between where you just don't know who you are anymore. And I'm telling you right now, it is a super uncomfortable place to sit in. And I think a lot of us race in when we are sitting in this discomfort and just try to fill it with the things that used to make us happy. And the funny thing is, those things don't feel the same anymore. And that was where I started questioning, like, what is this? I don't feel like me anymore. And of course I don't feel like me anymore because I've just been through a huge life-changing event. Liminal space is super confusing. It's lonely. It's very ungrounded. I'd even say a little bit frightening because it's something that a lot of people don't talk about. And the thing is, there's no clear identity for yourself and there's no certainty. You don't feel like there's any solid ground yet. So if you have been asking yourself, why don't I feel like myself anymore? Because that was a question I found myself asking a lot, especially in 2025. It's not because you've lost yourself. I'm going to tell you that. It's because you're in between versions. And that space is super uncomfortable. It's where the new self is forming. So you don't need to rush it. Give yourself time. Get curious about who you're becoming. What are the things that make you happy now? What are the things that you value? It's an opportunity for you to be someone else, to create a different version of yourself. Even though it is not a nice place to sit in, it's actually a beautiful place when you see it for what it is. That's basically where I've been this year. I haven't been hiding away. I definitely haven't been stuck, although I did think that there were moments where I was stuck. But I'm now seeing it was just the in-between. Anyone who knows me well knows how much I love butterflies, and liminal space is the cocoon phase. So I've literally been in that phase, and I am hoping now that I am coming out of my cocoon, I will be a gorgeous butterfly. So liminal space, it is life-changing. Know that there is actually a word and like logical term for feeling all of these things. So obviously, my diagnosis, I had a squamous cell carcinoma tumor that was metastatic. However, my whole case, I suppose you'd call it, was very rare and incredibly unusual. I had major surgery end of November 2024. Originally, I didn't think it was going to end up being as big as it was. However, that changed very quickly. The night before my surgery, when I was spoken to by the surgeons, because I had a team of surgeons that were working on me, I was told that worst case scenario, they were not going to be able to remove the tumor and that I would have to look at other options. I was also told that I would have to have a large number of bones removed from my chest, which obviously is going to create some deformities. I was told that I may lose complete movement of my arms, or at least like not be able to get them over the top of my head. And to be honest, I'm sure there's going to be moments in this where it's emotional, because it's still emotional for me to think about this stuff and realize, oh my God, like I did this. I lived this. Going through something so huge like this, when you look back, I know that I was so scared. I didn't know what it was going to look like. I didn't know what I was going to wake up to, and that's scary. It's super, super scary. I knew going into the surgery that my life as it was completely about to change, but I didn't know how it was going to change, and I didn't know how I was going to navigate it. But the night before my surgery, I called on my mum, my nan. I asked for all my angels, because I believe that we have these beautiful souls on the other side that look after us and guide us. And I asked them the night before my surgery to be with me and give me strength and help me get through, because I just didn't know what my future looked like at that stage. And I was filled with so much fear at that point. It was in that moment, like, I truly felt like I have to just surrender this to the universe and believe that I will be supported and that I will be taken care of. I just had to believe. I had to have faith in myself. I had to have faith that the universe will take care of me. I was told that my surgery would last for 10 hours. I had a skin graft taken from my left thigh, which closed my surgical site. I've had both my collarbones partly removed. I've had the joint in between removed. I've had my top right rib completely removed. I've also had my breastbone removed, as well as cut and wired back together. I know it sounds fun, doesn't it? Going into such a huge, life-changing surgery, I asked myself, what is it that I need to get through this? This is a beautiful question to ask yourself if you are currently going through something huge. Like, what is it that you need to create safety, security, and just trust within yourself. And one of the things was for me, I did not want to see my skin graft look like, what my wound looked like. And I knew that it would be hard for me to process. I also just wanted loving and supportive people to be around me. So during that time, I only had a few people visit. One of the other things that I knew that I needed was that I needed to move my body every day regardless. And one of my hugest achievements was after my 10-hour surgery, I was in the ICU. I'd had a terrible night with some complications from after the surgery. I'd obviously woken up and I'd made that promise to myself. Even, if it's only a couple of steps, that's still something. It's still moving. And I know how important it is, especially for healing, to move your body as soon as you can. Told my nurse in the ICU that I wanted to walk. And I don't think that's something they hear very often. I ended up having my nurse, had my dad, I had my physio, I had a walking frame. I also had a lovely collection of catheters, drains, IV drip. I also had my pain box. I managed to walk 10 meters and still makes me super emotional thinking about it. That was a huge achievement after what I'd just been through. It was just so empowering knowing that I did that and it was me after what I'd just been through. And believe me, it was incredibly hard and I did it. It really helped because the next few days after the surgery was some of the most challenging and the darkest I think I've ever been through in my life. And a lot of people don't talk about how challenging and hard it is after major surgery. Your body's had so many things pumped through it. Your mind doesn't feel clear. You're in pain. It just feels so emotional. And that's exactly where I was at. I want to talk to you about some little gifts that I have really learnt through a very challenging time in my life. And I hope that by sharing these with you, they may resonate and it might be something that you need to hear. Because sharing our stories and sharing our lessons is so important and it's so helpful for people, especially when they're navigating their own challenges. Cancer stripped away so many different parts of me that I didn't even realize that I was actually living inside of and I was carrying. So some of the things like being the strong one, the productive one, having cancer and having to have major surgery and radiation and not being able to move my body the way that I have for so many years meant that there was so many things that I couldn't do anymore. Not because I chose not to do them, because I just physically couldn't do them. I was exhausted and I just couldn't play those roles anymore. And once I was asked by the universe not to play those roles anymore, I realized how many of those roles were not actually helping me in any way, shape or form. My relationship with my body changed so much. I used to be that person who would get up at 4:30 every single morning and go to the gym for an hour, come home, get ready, get my boys ready for school, go to work, come home. I would do that every single day. And I would even do that on the weekends. I'm going to be honest, I'd get up and go to the gym when I wasn't feeling the best. Cancer really taught me to slow the fuck down and truly listen to what my body needs. And that was like a huge lesson for me. I'm still navigating that because I've always been a busy person and I used to always think being busy and being productive probably made me feel like I was a worthy person. When I stopped all of that busyness, it really created a lot of space for me to start working out, like, why am I doing this? Who is this actually serving? Because it's not serving me, especially if I do it right now in a state where I'm not feeling at 100% capacity. My relationship with my body and learning to listen to it and slow down. When you go through a huge life-changing event, you are going to have some people in your life who will show up for you in the most extraordinary ways. I cannot thank all of my closest family and my friends. You know who you are. The ones that saw me at my absolute worst. The people who were there for me when I literally couldn't even carry myself, when I couldn't walk. To my partner who had to shower me, help me dress myself. That's huge. For me, being super independent, super productive, always busy, to actually have to ask for help when you've never been that person before is huge. And knowing that some people will show up for you in extraordinary ways that will blow your mind. Those are the people you need to hold on to. They are your anchors in a storm, especially when you've got a big storm. They are the people who ground you. They are the people who make you laugh, who make you smile when you don't feel like doing any of those things at all. Never underestimate surrounding yourself with these type of people. They are gold. They are rare. They are incredibly rare. When you find them, don't let them go. You need those people. However, fortunately, there are going to be people in your life who just will not show up for you when you need them the most. And you know what? This was a really, really painful lesson for me. I think the biggest takeaway is that some people just don't have the capacity to be there for you. And it's so important to remind yourself it's got nothing to do with you. And it has everything to do with where they're at and what they're able to hold. And I think the truth is, a lot of the time, these people do love you and they probably do deeply care for you. Often I think they just have so much pain of their own to process and deal with that they just don't have the space to hold whatever it is that you are going through, especially if it is a really super painful moment in your life. The biggest part there is just learning that people's capacity to be there for you and how they can be there for you, it's not a reflection of you as a person and your value. It's where they're at and what they can hold. You know, that old saying, you can only meet someone as deeply as you've met yourself. It is so true. People can only show up in your life at those darkest times because they've met themselves in those dark times. They know how it feels. They know the pain, and they also are not afraid of it. And they're not afraid of sitting in it with you, which is hard. Depth over numbers for your friendships. How deep your friendships are matters more than how many friends you have. So when your future feels incredibly uncertain and downright unbearable, I think the best way to move forward is literally just bringing yourself back to that present moment and reminding yourself, right now, I can just do one small thing at a time. I don't need to look further ahead. I just need to just focus on one small thing at a time, one small moment at a time, one day at a time, 1 hour at a time, whatever it is, if you are currently navigating something super challenging in your life, bring it back to that. You don't have to know what's ahead of you all of the time. So that was a beautiful gift for me, living in the present moment while I was navigating healings after my surgery, even my radiation treatment. It was literally taking one day at a time. Another thing to remind yourself of is you don't need to have all the answers right now. All you need to do is just put one foot in front of the other and keep moving forward. I cannot express that enough. When something is feeling so heavy, once you start taking those steps forward, I can guarantee things will start getting clearer. And I'm speaking from experience when I say this. Your self-talk is a game changer. The way you talk to yourself will change the way you interact with the world around you, especially when you are going through something super challenging. You need to talk to yourself like you are on your side. You need to have a cheer squad in your head, actually saying things like, you are doing so well. You have to keep going. I'm so proud of you. What are those things that you needed to hear as a child? Those are the things you need to say to yourself now. And if you are going through something really hard, you need to be your own cheerleader. You need to remind yourself that you've got this, you can do this, get up, move, like actually talk to yourself like a coach. And I know that sounds really weird, but you need to do it. Your self-talk is so important, and we can be so mean to ourselves. You need to be kind to yourself and actually say, hey, I know this is hard. I know this sucks, but you can do this. You can keep going. My biggest thing was, I've got this. I can do this. I used to actually say it out loud. And so my partner and my kids and my family and like my sister, who was one of my biggest cheerleaders, would say it to me, you've got this. If you say those things out loud to the people around you that love and support you, they'll start saying it to you. And then that's going to be your inner dialogue and what's going on outside of you. It's going to help you get through these really tough times. Brene Brown speaks about showing up imperfectly is still showing up. And I want to remind you of that. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to be perfect. But as long as you're showing up for yourself each and every day, especially when it is hard, especially when you are having a challenging day, that is what you should be proud of. That is what you should be giving yourself a pat on the back for. You are not perfect. And you know what? None of us are. And I can tell you right now, the last 12 months and the things that I have gone through, I can tell you right now, I was nowhere near perfect. Physically, probably mentally, I still continue to show up for myself. Example, at the hospital, I wanted to get out of bed every single day. I got out of that hospital bed every single day and I walked. And each day I tried to take an extra few steps. And you know what? Do you know what that got me at the end? I got to go home a week earlier than they intended I would be able to leave the hospital because I was doing so well. And that was because I made that promise to myself and I followed through. And I think making promises to yourself, showing up for yourself, and then actually getting up and doing the things that you promised you were going to do for you is so important, so empowering, because it reminds yourself that you are amazing. We often don't give ourselves permission to feel it all. I believe when you cry, it's the soul's way of like cleansing itself, and we need to do it. For me, when I cry, I feel so much lighter and I feel so much better. I really think it is so important to give yourself permission to feel it all. Feel the anger, feel the fear, feel the sadness, feel the heartbreak. And believe me, I can tell you, I've felt the full range of probably all of the human emotions over the last 12 months. I've asked, why is this happening to me? This is so unfair. I'm going to be honest and say, I've asked those questions. Why wouldn't I? I've been through something which was actually really awful, and it wasn't a nice experience. I think we're allowed to say all of those things and feel all of those things. And the problem is, if we don't let our emotions flow through us, they get trapped and they get stuck in our body, and then they come out in all these unexpected, unhealthy ways. Or we often go the other way and decide we don't want to feel any of our emotions, so we completely numb them and avoid them by drinking and taking drugs and binging TV, when sometimes we just need to sit with the emotions. And I think as humans, the scary part is emotional pain is not a nice experience, because the truth is we often don't want to experience emotional pain because we think it's never going to end. But the thing is, it is going to end. If you allow it to move through you, don't create meaning from it, and just remind yourself, I'm allowed to feel angry. I'm allowed to feel sadness. Obviously, the behavior is what you need to be aware of. Like if you're angry and then you go and smash things, well, you can be angry, but you don't need to smash the things. Learning to sit and process what you're feeling, acknowledging it, and letting it pass is actually such an important part of healing, especially when you are going through something huge. Suppressing it or trying to run away from it or trying to ignore it is not going to make it go away. A great thing that I used to do, you can take it if you like, I used to give myself pity parties, and my family and my partner were very aware of my pity parties because I just used to cry. I used to just sit and cry, and I'd scream in my pillow, and this is my pity party. I'm going to do this. And then I'd give myself a little bit of time, and then I'm like, okay, I can't stay in this, but I'm allowed to have this moment right now. Also giving yourself like a little allocation for 5 minutes. I'm going to have a cry. Get it out. It's there for a reason. Your emotions are trying to tell you something. They are not something to be scared of. It's information. And especially if you are going through something big, of course you're going to feel upset. Of course you're going to feel scared. Of course you're going to feel angry. Those are all very valid emotions. Coming back to what I mentioned earlier on, like asking myself, what is it that I need to make myself feel safe and supported during this journey? I'm going to talk about toxic positivity. What are your thoughts? When you're going through something, people think it's so well-meaning by going, just be positive, it's all going to be okay. Dismisses the real human experience, because each and every one of us experiences challenging and hard and difficult times. We all just want to feel seen and heard and understood. It's so important just to say things like, I hear you, I see you, I'm not going anywhere, or just sit and listen. Just being present with someone while they're going through something is all that people really need. They're not asking you to take their pain away for them. They're often just wanting to have someone sit with them while they process their own pain. It's uncomfortable and it can be really challenging, but the greatest gift you can give to someone who is going through a really emotionally distressing time is being present and letting them know you're not going anywhere. Because at the end of the day, that's what we all want. We want to know that when we're going through a big event in our life, we want to know, do you have my back? Are you going to be there for me? Something that I often told myself was taking tiny little steps forward when everything feels super overwhelming is the most courageous thing you can do when you are sitting in a world of uncertainty and fear. If you are currently navigating a challenging moment in your life, stop, breathe, take a moment to acknowledge how far you've already come and just keep moving forward, even if it is one tiny weeny step at a time. Moving forward is courage. Right now, where I'm currently at, I have been in remission now since May of last year. I have another big test coming up in March. There's still a lot that I'm navigating. It has been uncomfortable and it has been a real eye-opener because I've realized I am no longer the person I was in 2024 when I was diagnosed with cancer. And you know what? I am glad that I am not that person anymore. When people say, oh, you've changed, I have changed. And I am proud of where I'm currently at, of what I've currently been through. Cancer has stripped a lot of parts of me away, and it's allowing me to rediscover the parts of myself that have always been there underneath all of it. I hope that by sharing this today, something might resonate for you. If you are currently feeling super lost right now, know that it is a transition and that it will pass. And feeling lost isn't a bad thing. It's just a transition. And it's a beautiful opportunity to meet a new version of yourself. So this was a long one. If you want to connect with me, find me on Instagram. Thank you so much for being here and allowing me to share part of my story. I am now hoping that this is one of many more beautiful podcasts coming your way. If you have anything that you would love for me to talk about, please shoot me a comment, like, subscribe, do all of those lovely things. Share if you think that anything in this today might be helpful for someone else out there. Please take care of yourself, and I love you all.